Oh, man.
So I got a phone call the other day from somebody. And I want to be very gentle when I'm explaining this because it's a sad situation, right?
Okay.
And this is not the first time I've got a phone call like this. This is not even the first time this year that I've gotten a phone call like this.
Jeez.
So this lady called, very distraught, right? She, a couple of days ago, came home and she had 3 dogs, and she came home and one of her dogs killed her other dog while she was not home.
Oh boy.
I mean, first off, like, couldn't even imagine.
No.
Couldn't even imagine.
No.
Right? You're out, you're at fucking dinner, you're doing whatever, right?
Yeah.
Had a good time, coming home, bringing the groceries in, and you just walk into that. Right?
I couldn't imagine.
Could not even imagine. Right? So that's the call, right? Get this call.
Yeah.
That had happened. Like I said, not the first time I've gotten this call, not the first time this year I've gotten this call. I've heard this more times than you could even imagine. And here is the tough part about it, right? In the vast majority of the scenarios that this happens in, it's in situations where people are bringing a new dog into their home, right? This individual has had this dog for 4 months. That's like nothing.
Nothing.
It's like nothing. You don't even know this dog, right? You don't even know this dog, right? And you're trusting this dog to be left alone with your other dogs to do God knows what for however long while you're just not at home.
Yeah.
Right? And first off, navigating phone calls like that is so tough because like, one, your heart like aches for the person. Like that's such an unbelievably awful scenario to have yourself in. And I can't relate to it, obviously, because I've never been in that situation before. Yeah. But I could only imagine how terrible it is. But at the same time, you have to navigate explaining. Like this individual was basically asking me, like, what training can I do to make sure this doesn't happen again? And I'm like, the training, this isn't a training issue. This is why were these dogs left alone at all? Right? For any amount of time, especially when you just got the dog, right? And as I further dug into the conversation with her, this wasn't even the first altercation these dogs got into with each other.
Oh, no.
Right?
Yeah.
Because gingerly navigating the conversation, I'm basically like, these dogs have never had, they've been totally fine together up until this point. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, and she explained to me a situation she had just a month prior where this new dog got into an altercation with the dog that it wound up killing, right? And she explained it to me as an unbelievably difficult fight to break up. It was ugly, you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
And yet we still trusted these dogs to be home alone. And here's the problem, right? There's so much, let's move this to a different conversation here. Every time we post things about like using crates, right? And like confining dogs and stuff like that, that is the one conversation that baffles my mind when I see people that are just like, fuck you for lock and law. Dogs don't deserve to be in fucking cages and you should just leave your bull. You know what I mean? Like people are so like anti-confining their dogs
100%.
That the problem is, I'm sure in this individual's head, the amount that she felt bad leaving the dog in a crate when she wasn't home in the house outweighed her common sense and good judgment of understanding it wasn't safe to leave the dogs home. But she probably just couldn't get past this mentality of why would I feel so guilty leaving my dog in a kennel, right?
Yeah.
Where they're safe. And instead you just leave them out because you feel so bad about it and you throw like logic to the wind and stuff like this happens. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's just, I'm trying to figure out how I want to kind of, play this episode out because it's like first and foremost, I just want to explain to people like this is why to this day, all of my dogs I've had for a very long time, right? All of them have a pretty darn sound relationship at this point, right? I will never, ever, ever, ever leave my dogs out alone when I am not home, because I have seen worst case scenario so many times.
Yeah.
And you just ask yourself the question of like, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Do you feel so guilty that your dog is sleeping in a crate for 8 hours when you're not home and you're at work that you want to put them at risk of potentially dying, right? And forget dogs getting into fights with each other in situations like that happening. The other phone calls I get from people all the time are, oh my gosh, I came home and my dog ate an entire bottle of fucking Tylenol. You know what I mean? Like, or another one I got recently, right? I got a call from somebody. This is a client. This all happened in the last week, right? Got a call from a client. This one's a far less extreme situation, but whatever. This individual has done training with us, right? Probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. Got a call from her. She's like, hey, I don't know what to do. I need to pick your brain on something. Give her a call. She had been leaving this dog out for its entire life, right? No problems, right? And she came home the other day, and for whatever reason, the dog must have gotten worked up by seeing an animal out the window or something like that. And he broke out of the gated in area that he was in. She just had like a little hinky dink baby gate set up for him, right?
Yeah.
He broke out of that area, ran into the upstairs room where the window was overlooking the backyard, and chewed through the entire fucking windowsill and broke the window because of it, right? Trying to get out to get to this animal when she wasn't there.
Jeez.
Right? And this particular situation, actually, the reason why she did training like 3 or 4 years ago is because she had a similar incident where he did that, but he hasn't done it since, right? It's been like 3 or 4 years. We always recommend to our clients, right? Like, listen, when you're not there, there's nothing you can do about stopping this stuff. She said, she's like, he hasn't been doing anything like that when I'm home. I don't have issues with him when he's home. He's not, fucking around and chasing animals or doing any of that kind of stuff. But like 4 years later, right recipe of things happen, and this situation happened. But the first time that he did this, he chewed through the window, he broke the window, and he actually cut himself so bad that she got home to a bloody mess, and she literally told me she thought he was going to like bleed out and die.
Jesus.
Right? It's just... This stuff happens.
It does.
You know what I mean? It's like your talk could be good for 4 years. Then suddenly that happens, right? I had an employee that worked for me forever. I'm just sharing stories now of like bad situations that happened to people. I had an employee that worked for me probably 7 years ago, something like that, I think. And she explained a story that she had childhood dogs, and same deal. One day they were gone and they came home and the one dog killed the other dog. Right? Like this shit, it just happens, right? And I promise you that every single person that this has happened to thought to themselves, this would never happen to me prior to that incident happening. Because if any part of their brain told them, you know what, there's a possibility that my one dog might kill my other dog, or there's a possibility my dog might chew through this fucking windowsill, break this piece of glass, and he might cut himself so bad that he might die, right? Like if there was a hint of thought of that, they would obviously take the dog's safety over feeling bad of leaving them out.
100%.
Right? And it's just like, this is why.